Well, I'm delighted to say we're joined by Michael Grant of the Times. Michael, you followed Aberdeen for a long number of years. Where does that rank last night, losing to Darvel?
It's right down there, Peter, isn't it? I mean, I'd love to make a case for other results having been bigger shocks, but I really can't. I think if you look at the gap between the West of Scotland League and the fifth in the Premier League, then it's the worst ever. It's certainly the worst for Aberdeen.
I mean, a number of Aberdeen fans that I've been speaking to obviously are wondering whether Dave Cormack has had enough. Certainly a number of Aberdeen fans have had enough. But when you look at some of the signings that he's made and you look at that back line, they've got the second worst defensive record in the league. And you can go through a list of key games where it just doesn't seem to be clicking for them.
Yeah, the away form in particular has been dreadful from day one under Jim Goodwin, unfortunately, and the tail end of last season was terrible, Peter. You know, they were in danger of sliding all the way down, possibly even to a real relegation battle, and they got themselves out of that. And I must admit, I thought this summer that they had signed quite well. You know, the League Cup group campaign, albeit against lower league teams, was pretty comfortable. Some promising early form at Pittodrie especially. But what we've seen is that the defence has never been sorted. Jim Goodwin, of course, hung himself a little bit by saying it'd be the easiest thing to fix. He could do it in a week. This is what he said last February, and a year on, it's no better. They can't keep a clean sheet anywhere on the road, and last night showed they can't do it at even at Darvel. So the away form and the defence have been the two pillars that have really brought Jim Goodwin to the brink, and the debate today really is how he can survive this.
That was the point. Everybody said if they lose to Darvel, he's gone. I'm amazed we're still talking about him as Aberdeen manager. You?
Yeah. I mean, I think it has the feel, Peter, of the kind of the reaching the end of the road. You know, you and I, if you're around football for long enough, you get a sense of a result and a performance that is just unsurvivable. Now, we may be wrong. Dave Cormack might look at the alternatives out there and think he doesn't see anything convincing. He might also want to avoid paying a fourth compensation deal in the last 2 years. He paid off McInnes. He brought Glass in and paid off Glass. He paid St Mirren to get Goodwin, and he's now maybe hanging on to avoid having to pay Goodwin a compensation too. But the problem is that the fans will demand a response from the club. You know, and I mean above and beyond the kind of usual stuff that we've heard a million times about embarrassment and humiliation and putting things right. There isn't really a sense that things are getting put right. It's the same problems and the same flaws, Peter, that we've seen for months now. And I don't know that they'll get rid of him, but I think he will do incredibly well to survive.
Yeah, I agree with you on that point, Michael. You know, the one thing about it when you look at a side, as you said, you've got to see signs that you think something is coming together. But over and above that, he's made decisions which I think have really rankled with the Aberdeen faithful. You know, parking the bus against Celtic, losing to Rangers deep into injury time, 5-0 loss to Hearts, and of course, off the back of that, defeat last night, you're actually you're saying to yourself, as you mentioned there, he talked about he'd sort the defence out. It hasn't happened. If he doesn't survive, Michael, I mean, what type of manager do you think they need that can steady the ship or even take them forward? What does it need? Does it need a foreign manager? Does it need a fresh approach? Or does it need somebody who's got a proven track record that can just somehow steady the ship?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against any particular category. I wouldn't say no to a foreign manager or, young or older. They have to convince you from the start. I'll be honest, I thought Jim Goodwin would do okay. It was obviously the biggest club that he's had a chance at. but he's been pretty impressive so far. A young guy with a decent enough track record, and you think, well, okay, you take a gamble with that, and think that he can transfer those skills at a bigger club. It hasn't really happened, you know. Some of the signings have been quite exciting, quite impressive, and potentially will make some money for the club down the road. Some of the performances at Pittodrie have been entertaining and high scoring, but you can't pin a whole season on that. You know, a manager that's been there for a year should be able to sort out an away form as bad as Aberdeen's. Where they go next, I don't know how much Cormac will invest again on a good management team. He has to take a bit of time. Cannot rush into it. There's a bit of comfort in the league in terms of they're not in a relegation battle yet, but they could easily get dragged into it if the results continue to be poor. But I just go back to the fact that I think the club has to show some sort of reaction and response, and I'm not sure that most of the supporters will accept anything other than a change of the manager.
Yeah, and just before you go, Michael, I'll bring you my DVD copy of the 1983 Gothenburg final, just to kind of lift your spirits, because I feel as if, this is the lowest I've seen you in a long while.
My copy is worn out, Peter, so that'd be very welcome. That's nice of you.
Brilliant. Michael, as ever, always good sense from you, and thank you for joining us on the show.
No problem, Peter. Thank you.
Uncensored, unbiased, unmatched. The Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel.